It's 9:39 p.m. here. I know you guys are already on in Tuesday already.
Yeah, Tuesday already. Yeah.
Wow, wow,
So how are things? How are things? It's been a long
good.
time since we met in was it?
Long Abuja,
Yeah, in Abuja.
like
Yeah.
maybe 2006 or so. It's been a long time. It's been
Yeah,
over
yeah,
10
yeah.
years. It's
Yeah.
been a long time. It's been a very
Yeah.
long
Then
time.
I moved to Philippines, and then I saw you moved to the US too.
Sure, my brother. It it is well with Nigeria. Let's just put it that way. It is well with
Yeah.
Nigeria.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's really tough. How is your brother? That other guy that was with you the other day.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. He's doing well. He's really now into music, and he's doing well.
Okay, he's still in Abuja.
Yeah, he's still in Abuja.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Yes, yes,
That's good.
yes.
That's
So
good.
how's everything there in the US? How's everything there?
Well, we are slowly, but I mean, you know how immigration and all that is, but we're just trying to make the best of it and just try to survive, just and make something positive out of it. I mean, I've been writing this book before I came to America, and then I got the grace to finish it up here. So that's at least one good thing that I've achieved. And I've tried to join the game and see how much I can add my experience and things I love to do in the game, and it's been really nice. I mean, I can't complain really. Though I've not seen my kids in over 5 years, my daughters. So
Yeah,
that's a sacrifice. There's always a sacrifice of something. Yeah,
yeah,
so
it's true. When you want to agree to achieve great things, for sure, you have to sacrifice something.
yes, you have to. You have to. It's
Yeah.
what a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people don't understand it. I put it in the book as well. For any endeavor in life, there's always something to give up. Always something to give up. You can't always have everything.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's so good to have you on the show today. I've been following up with your programs and everything. I
I
said, oh, for
appreciate
sure, I have to
it.
reach out and make sure that I have you on.
I'm very excited to be here as well. Very, very excited. Very excited.
Okay. Oh, that's good. That's good, man. All right. Today I have on the show by Bayonle Arashi, right?
Yeah, that's it. You got it right,
Okay.
bro.
Good, good, good. He's a public speaker, a passionate media, and a soccer professional.
Yes,
He,
sir.
he has extensive experience in communication, television, and radio production. He's, he is a member of the United States Soccer Federation as a referee. If I missed something, please just correct me.
No, you did not. You have not
Okay.
missed anything so far.
And he is also the author of the book Roadmap to a Successful Football Career. Okay. We are really going to talk about your book today, but before we do that, I want us to look back to when everything all started.
Hmm.
Yeah, I know you did not just get up and write the book.
Now,
Something must have inspired you for sure.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I don't know where you want me to start from, but
I, I think for sure I wanted to look at you to look back when you really got involved in football.
absolutely. Well, thank you very much for having me on this platform. I'm very excited to be here, and I know we've had some catching up to do since we've been in touch for many many years. But I think we've only met one time,
Yeah,
and I remember it was football that drawn us together, and that's just the power of the game. Um, well, you already said it. My name is Bayonle Arashi. I started out as a broadcast journalist. That's my first point of contact with the beautiful game. I worked with two of the biggest TV and radio organizations in Nigeria. I started my career in 1999 with Muri International TV. The owner is Muri International Group, but it's MITV. That's what they call the TV channel. They still exist up till now. I started there as a technician, actually, uh, powering up the transmitter and putting it off. But as I always say, maybe God knows I was going to be in the talent sporting business. My chief engineer at that time was watching me that whenever I put on the transmitter, I always leave my duty post to go to the master control room to see what's going on there. So I didn't know he was watching me. There was a day he just told me, "Hey, young man, I don't think you're going to be an engineer. I think you're going to be a production person." So that was how he transferred me from the engineering department to production, and that was when I had my genesis, so to say, of TV introduction, of television production introduction. Also, while in production, I met my mentor, then late now. His name is Deolu. He was the head of sports for that TV channel at that time. He was young too, but of course much older than I am. So he picked interest in me. So I was working with him. He was teaching me production at the same time. I was working with him on his TV show. He has a very famous TV show in Lagos back then called Sports Tango. That was actually my first step into sports. I've always loved football. I've always watched football with my dad. But my big encounter with the game came when I moved from MITV to the biggest one, Dar Communications, the owner of AIT, Africa Independent Television. That's where I worked from 2002 till I resigned in middle of 2009. I got my introduction to football there. I was in production. My training is live soccer directing. I'm sorry, I'm calling it soccer. That's what we call it here.
I
So
know, I know you're in the US. That's why
yeah,
you're calling
yeah,
it soccer
yeah.
now.
So I'll be using the mixture of soccer and football. So
Okay, all good, all good.
my introduction to the game was from there. So as a production person, I was meant to always work in the sport department. So we used to go for when the Super Eagles are playing qualifiers, when they're playing. Just to cut the long story short, I managed to go to 3 Africa Cup of Nations in 2004, 2006, and 2008. And the biggest one for me was when I went to the FIFA World Cup in 2006 as a very young broadcaster back then. Going to the World Cup was a huge eye-opener. Germany hosted the World Cup, though Nigeria did not participate in that World Cup. But I had a very huge introduction to the game back at that time. And that was when the passion for the game. When I returned from the World Cup, I just thought about that. What can I do? You know, I saw all the greatest players. So I started investing in football. I said, okay, let me have a group of young people. I didn't go into it just for the money. Of course, I want to make money, but I went to it for the passion. So we started a youth club. We would call it youth club at the time, but I knew that it was going to be an academy. So we called it Midas Football Academy because
Oh, this Midas Football Academy.
Midas Football Academy. So Midas means gold. Many people always ask why Midas. So I feel like whatever you touch turns to gold. So that was how I got the name Midas from. And then we started training with some group of boys, and then 207, 208, and then in 2009 we had a very huge break. You know,
Yeah.
a friend of mine that I met during the World Cup it was a federal police officer. He was like, "Hey, Bayo, bring your team for a tournament here in Germany." I said, "Oh, is it possible?"
Yeah, that reminds. I was just going to ask you first before you get into that.
Yeah, so he
How
said,
was it?
and that was
How
it.
was it? You just started an academy and then you became the coach of the academy.
Well, I mean,
How was it coaching your own academy? How was it?
the truth is, I mean, it was weird, but I wasn't really the coach like that. You know, they always call me director. I had a coach. I had a friend that we grew up together that was coaching the team. But what made me the coach, and I'm sure that's why you asked the question, was while we were about to go for that tournament in Europe, there was, we had to go through the visa application process. So we applied for 18 players and 2 officials, which was supposed to be me and the coach. But unfortunately, they did not approve the visa of the coach and 4 players. So eventually they gave it to 13 players and 1 official. So they only granted 14 visas, 13 players, 1 official. So, and I had to step in as a coach. So
okay, that's why. That's
so
why.
that was what led me into the coaching of the players. So I had to coach the players to Germany and Denmark. And believe it or not, I'm sure you will remember before now, we won both tournaments in Germany under 17, and we won the one in Denmark. It was crazy, but it happened. And then the history is still there till date. So that was actually one of the high point of my career.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you because I know giving exposure and experience is very important in football. I was going
It
to
is.
ask you this. How do you give this exposure to your players? But now you've already told me you traveled to Germany and where Denmark. Uh,
Yes.
are you still in touch with your academy? Is it still existing, or how is it going
Absolutely.
there?
Absolutely. It's still existing. Actually, after that, we've had some other successes. We've won some domestic tournaments. There was one Abeso Cup, because it's a domestic tournament, which was won at the Agege Stadium in 2013. And then there's this Ikeja Youth Division League that they play in every season in, season out, which is what a way for us to make sure we engage the players, we engage the young boys to play. Because if they're just training and they are not playing matches, uh, they are not going to really develop their game. And the purpose of them joining an academy is for them to be able to develop their skill sets, and of course go on from there to become a professional. Actually, we have a bigger plan now for the academy. It is not just a place where players just come to train. Now we have inculcated something that I call a vocational training into it. So if anybody comes into the academy for a year, when you're going back home after 1 year, you're not just going back as that same person. While you're in the academy and training to develop your game, you are also going to be learning a trade. You're going to be learning either fashion designing, you can be learning computer graphics, you can learn how to print books, how to become a printer. So we're trying to engage the players. And the bigger plan that we have going ahead, which I've already done the plan. If you go to the website of the academy now, you're going to see the plan there, midasfootballacademy.com. You're going to see that we already have where we want to go there. We plan to buy like 12 acres of land where we can build like a real football facility where these kids can wake up in the morning in their dorms and see a soccer field, and then after training they can go learn something. So it's actually bigger now, and that's where we are going from here.
All right, that's good. That's good. And finally, after all these achievements and everything in Nigeria with Midas Football Academy, you moved to the US and you became a referee.
Yes,
How was the
sir.
transition? How was the transition from being a football coach to being a referee?
You
And
know, it's
I know
just the passion.
it's a different life from Nigeria to the US.
Totally different, my brother. Totally different. And as you just put it now, it, it wasn't easy, but of course it was something. It's something in me. You know, if it's something in you, the transition isn't going to be that difficult for you as a person. So when I moved here, I first lived in California for a while. For while I was in California, I was already seeing a little bit of it. I was going with my friend was a coach. He was coaching a university in California back then. So I always go to see some of his games. So I always look, how can I get involved? But I was out of shape that time, you know. I was, with all the starch and all that. So I'm like, okay, maybe the first thing is probably to just start going. So I always go to training with him, train and all that. But when I moved to Houston, Texas, like 7 months after, I connected with an old friend who was a referee here with the Houston chapter of US Soccer. So he was like, "Hey, bro, I see all you do. So I have a local show on TV here." So he was like, "Why not get involved with me into refereeing?" And that was it. So I went for the trial. I went for the exam. I wrote the exam. I passed. So still, I was still working on myself, try to keep shape, and then I started. Of course, I started from behind as a level 9 referee, but now I'm a 7 plus referee. So, which is like one step to becoming a state referee. So I'm really up there now, and I have over 500 games under my belt in the youth league.
Oh, that's good. That's good, man. And yeah, after all this experience, I want us to really go deep into your book, Roadmap to Football
To a
Success.
successful football career, yes, sir.
Okay, roadmap to a successful football career. Yes, I want
Right
us to talk
here.
about that. I want us to talk about it. Yeah.
Mm. Like as you and I said before we started this interview, that most of the time we tend to make a lot of mistakes at the beginning of our career. And maybe if some of us have really had some guide at the beginning, maybe we would have actually gone really better than we are now. So, but the fact that you were not as successful as you aim to be doesn't mean that you have to let the younger generation to go through the same experience. So I feel obliged that there has to be something. This is for the first time. This is a book that is written solely on football career for players. There's nothing out there that talks about it. And from the history of Africa, especially the challenge of unethical agents that take advantage of many of these young folks. And believe it or not, it's not only in Africa. In America here, I've experienced it as well. You see, some people just set up some small thing, they call it a football club. They say they want to invite people from outside of America and Europe. They charge them money, and then nothing happens at the end of it. So I look at my experience over the years that I've gone through, from being a broadcaster to being a football academy administrator, down to being a referee and also a coach with the United States Soccer Federation, that there is actually a system. There's a way for you to go about it if you want to choose this as a career. So this is actually like 8 years of work right here you're looking at, of gathering data and information that works for football players. So for example, if you have a young child between the age of 5 and 6, and you are the first person that will see his talent, that this guy has a talent for this game, it is your responsibility to make sure that young man go from that just being a talent spotter to becoming a professional. Just not just for you to sport his talent and not do anything about it. Or you even know a teenager that is wandering around looking for. I mean, I get these tons of emails from players from all over the world. Hey, are you an agent? I need a club trial. These players don't know that this thing is a process. You cannot just go from kicking the ball about on the streets and play for Arsenal or Chelsea or Manchester United. There is a process involved. There are things you need to do. If not, you are going to be taken advantage of. So that's one of the reasons why I feel obliged that I have to take responsibility and write a book that takes care of that.
It took a long time. It took a long time to really put it all
It
together.
does. It does.
And do you have a channel? Is it you have where people can actually buy it online, or
The book is available on Amazon worldwide, but for example, where you are, I know Amazon might not be available there. They can easily find it on my website at my name, bayonlearashi.com. They can order for the book there, and it will be shipped to them wherever they are in the world. And as you know, that your own copy is en route to you as well, so you can have one and read and review as well. So the easiest way to find the book is on the internet. Just Google my name or go on website, or just type the name of the book, Roadmap to a Successful Football Career, and then you'll be able to find the book, and of course where you can order for it. But definitely everyone out there that is involved in the game in any capacity, a coach, a player, a parent, a teenager, a child, needs to own a copy of it, so that you know what you need to do, how to do it, and how to go about it in making your career a successful one.
okay? I was talking to one of the players that I had on the show. I asked him about your book. He said he has not heard about it. I told him, oh, maybe I will have to bring you online. Maybe you have the chance to let us know about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're talking about it here. You have to remind him again, if he watches this, that he needs to get a copy. The production of it will be available in local bookstores later this week across Nigeria and other parts of Africa, in local bookshop there, because I know Amazon might not be able to ship there due to the pandemic going on across the world right now. But the book is going to be everywhere that you can lay your hands on it, and it's not expensive at all, because that's another challenge. If you have something good, you have to make sure it is available to people. Make sure it is not something that you make it so expensive for people. For example, it's $11.99 here in America, so it might be less than that in other parts of the country you live in.
Okay, that's good. That's good. And yeah, it's any other thing you want us to know? Any advice to the young players out there that really looking for club trials and
Absolutely. What I'm going to encourage you, what I'm going to say to you first is, there is no magic to achieving a success in football. There's no magic. You have to train hard. Number one thing that I have as the first chapter of this book is, are you ready for the sacrifice? Are you willing to pay the sacrifice? You and I already said that there is always a sacrifice for whatever you want to achieve. If you want to be a professional football player and you like hanging out with your friends, you like going to party, you like to drink, or you like to go with the ladies, then that might not be a career for you. And then one of the other things you have to also focus on is be truthful to yourself. And I think that's actually the number one thing. Be truthful to yourself. Do I really have a talent for this game? Though it has often been said that anybody that is persistent can actually override talent. You know, if you are consistent about something and you really want to work hard towards it, you can actually develop talent in that area and go on to become a success at it. But you have to have that honest discussion with yourself. Do I really have this talent? Am I really going to be a football player? But if you don't think you have the talent, don't go further. But that does not deter you from still doing something in the game. I didn't play the game, but I wrote a book for players. So you have to find other ways that you can be useful. You did not play as much as you want to play, coach, but you are adding to the life of young people in far away Philippines. So that's what we are talking about. There are other ways you can be a part of it. You can be a coach, you can be a trainer, you can be a manager, you can become a scout, you can become a licensed registered agent, you can become a physio. There are so many things you can become a broadcaster. There's so many things you can do, and you can still contribute to the game. But of course, when you know that this is your career, hard work is not, it has no competition. If you have a follower of one of the, and as you know that that's the biggest controversy in the world, Messi or Ronaldo, that's the question they ask. Go and check out this players' social media pages, see how they train, see what they do. These players, even at in their 30s now, they still work as if they are in their teenage years. So if they can still work that hard at their age, you have no choice than to give it your best. It's either your best or nothing. So that's all I can say.
All right, Bayonle, it's so good to have you today, and I look forward to having you in many other occasions. And
absolutely, just let me know, bro.
We'll talk about many other things.
Just let me know. Just let me know. And I hope someday I will travel to that far east where you are, and then we can hang out over some coffee and enjoy some old time together. But I'm really proud of what you're doing, and keep up the good job, brother.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Really happy that.
Thank you so much.
We're willing to show up.
Thank you for the interview. Thank you very much for the interview.
Thanks a lot.
I look forward to seeing it. All right, bro.
Thank you very much. For sure. Thank you.
All right, man. Bye-bye now. Yeah, bye-bye.
Yes.
Bye. Yes, sir.